Hello and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Tuesday, 19 August. I am your host Daniel, and today we're going to just talk about the meeting between Zelensky, Trump, and European leaders. So firstly, US President Donald Trump said that the meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders went very well. Trump said that arrangements were now being made for a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Zelensky that could happen within the next few weeks. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that the meeting between Putin and Zelensky is to take place within the next 2 weeks, and the German Chancellor said the location was yet to be determined, though I think it would likely be either in the US or Turkey. However, French President Emmanuel Macron expressed a decree of caution over the possible meeting between the two leaders. Macron said that while the meeting between the two would be a move forward after talks with US President Donald Trump, he remains skeptical. He said he has some great doubts about Russia's president's desire for peace. His ultimate goal is to take as much territory as possible, weaken Ukraine, and have Ukraine as not viable to be on its own within the Russian sphere of influence. And that's pretty obvious to everyone, he said in a statement after the meeting. He warned that should the process be rejected, then sanctions on Russia would need to be ratcheted up in order to pressure Moscow back to the negotiating table. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said that the discussions were taking place on Ukrainian security guarantees, similar to those that are provided to NATO member states. He said they're discussing here is not NATO membership, but we're discussing an Article 5 style security guarantee for Ukraine. Rutte said that there would be no discussion in Washington of deploying ground troops and described the White House meeting as a success. Just for information, Article 5 refers to the NATO's collective defensive principle, under which other states come to the aid of a member state who is being attacked. The theory is an attack on one is an attack on all. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he was ready to hold one-on-one talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin to end the war. In a statement following the meeting, he thanked President Trump for his help and other European leaders that had come to the White House. He said he was ready for a meeting of any type of format without any preconditions. So what? While this is all very positive, it essentially has put the ball back in Russia's court with this possible meeting between Zelensky and Putin now being planned for the coming 2 weeks, which would be the next big step in any kind of peace negotiations. However, it still requires Russia to agree, essentially, and it looks like the plan moving forward would be for Ukraine to trade territory for security guarantees, which Russia possibly won't like. While there had been no discussion of deploying ground troops during this meeting, it is possible that this would be a requirement for Ukraine to agree, as it would provide that buffer zone of security between Russia and Ukraine, which would avoid any further conflict going forward, which is kind of the real big threat here, right? Ukraine is just worried that any kind of agreement is just delaying, allowing Russia to refit, rearm, and reconsolidate before just going again to try and take the rest of the country further down the line. So yeah, that's what they want to avoid, as they're currently on a war footing, which, if this peace agreement does go through, they would come off. So yeah, I kind of agree with Macron that I'm not convinced Putin wants peace. I think this is more just delaying tactics. There's been no real hard evidence that he actually wants to go through with these peace negotiations. It seems more likely that he is just participating in this to ensure that Trump doesn't further sanction the country and completely destroy the Russian economy, which is on its last legs, as I've mentioned many times. But the kind of key one here would be if the US threatens to sanction any countries that buy Russian oil, it could possibly stop India from buying Russian oil, which would decimate their economy even further, and possibly even stop China from buying Russian oil, which would be a massive blow to Russia's economy, which really can't stand it right now. So yeah, in summary, while it looked super positive, nothing has really changed. It's just more positive words coming out. There's been no hard kind of agreements here. So we have to wait and see if Zelensky meets Putin in the next few weeks to see if anything actually falls out of that. But thank you for listening to the entire brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.